These expectations, they keep weighing me down. My heart is begging me to get the hell out of my head. I'm gonna live inside the upside down for a minute and pretend. Honey, I'm a perfect 10, whoa, whoa. Honey, I'm a perfect 10, whoa, whoa. And if I say it enough, it gets ingrained in my head, and I start to see. Honey, I'm a perfect 10. 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 Whoa. Honey, I'm a perfect 10. Honey, I'm a perfect 10. Disgusted with myself, and I'm disgusted with the way we're told to have a certain face. I stood and wait because we aren't pixels on a screen. No, we're human, we breathe. Every single thing we see curated, it's overrated. These expectations, they keep weighing me down. My heart is begging me to get the hell out of my head. I'm gonna live inside the upside down for a minute and pretend. Honey, I'm a perfect 10. Whoa. Honey, I'm a perfect 10. Whoa. And if I say it enough, it gets ingrained in my head, and I start to think. Honey, I'm a perfect 10. Honey, I'm a perfect 10. Honey, I'm a perfect 10. Whoa. Honey, I'm a perfect 10. 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 Oh. It's a tug of war, battling to keep my sanity. Say no more, say no more. I love you, but I can't keep killing me. I look at myself, I wonder why you don't recognize who you traumatize me. Now what do I do? Pick up the pieces and go. I've adored the time I had lived in this fantasy. Now I'm looking for a way to better me, a remedy. I look at myself, so what do I, you recognize who traumatized me? Now what do I do? Pick up the pieces and go. Honey, I'm a perfect 10. What does perfect even mean? Is there even such a thing? Oh, can we switch up all the rules and imagine a utopia? Darling, I'm just so fed up with these expectations. They keep weighing me down. My heart is begging me to get the hell out of my head. I'm gonna live inside the upside down for a minute and pretend. Honey, I'm a perfect 10. Whoa, whoa. Honey, I'm a perfect 10. Whoa, whoa. And if I say it enough, it gets ingrained in my head, and I start to see. Honey, I'm a perfect 10. 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 Whoa. Honey, I'm a perfect 10. Honey, I'm a perfect 10.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Meta High School League. I cannot remember what week we're in. I'm pretty sure it's getting around to the later stages of the saga. But, my name is Reinhardt. I am joined by Adj. We are both from the Oceanic Esports Casting Association, and we're here and we're proudly, going to announce these two teams coming in today. It's going to be Selwyn College Apes on the left-hand side and Avondale College 1 on the right-hand side. I am absolutely ecstatic at these two games. What are your thoughts based on, coming into this current patch? What have you noticed that has been a hit and a miss, just over the last week or so, Yaj?
Well, coming into the current patch, absolutely tank junglers are in at the moment, especially with that Cinderhulk buff and the Aftershock buff. But at the same time, that does give somewhat of an opening for those early assassin meta junglers to be able to come in and take advantage of those slow snowballing tank junglers, like the Amumu, like the Sejuani. We've got the assassins like the Xin, the Yi, and possibly even Pike coming in through the jungle that could actually shine on top of the jungle meta right now.
Another thing I'm also keen to mention is the change up that we've got to Guinzu's Rage Blade. No longer is it going to be at every second basic attack that you pop the on-hit extras. It's every third attack, but I'm still seeing champions take it on quite willingly. If anything, I feel as though it's actually getting worse now. Like you've got Vayne still picking it up. Kaisa's still definitely putting it in her inventory. We're also seeing, I believe it's Manamoon being picked up for Kaisa as like one of her build pathways. Some people decide to take it, some people don't. It's like it's becoming very similar to like champions Ari, as well as like I'm seeing recently coming out from Kale. Like you've got two rune tree paths you can go down, whether it's going to be Electrocute or Glacial Augment for Ari, as well as the unconventional sorcerer build, which is oh, if I can remember off the top of my head, it's like Summon Eerie for those who want to be a little bit more concrete with getting damage outflow. Or even Arcane Karma if they can land those skill shots quite easily. And then you've got Kale who like works on mainly fleet footwork or kleptomancy. Like the combinations are getting much more various between the two. Like I'm seeing a lot more transparency in being able to do a couple, like be able to do these experimental builds, and it's working out quite well. And that's why I'm really curious coming to this patch. You've got a couple mix-up like Gwynsu's Rage Blades being somewhat nerfed, but also somewhat buffed because of the armor penetration and magic penetration being fully stacked at 11% right when you buy it, instead of it stacking all the way up to level 18. And yet we're still seeing champions like Vayne and Kai'Sa being picked up quite hardcore.
Oh, absolutely. And of course, Airy adding that extra oomph to every basic auto attack every now and then. A very good pickup on champions like Jace, which has become a lot more popular as of late. But in addition, touching on that Ginsu's change, it's become a bit more of a prevalent pickup on champions such as the Yi, the Tryndamere, but not as an attack speed additional buff item. It's more so an anti-tank item because of the buff towards just the flat armor penetration and magic penetration.
I know, it is just like amazing how they've managed to do such. I feel like it's such a huge rework on the item itself, but it's still making a considerable mix-up. And we're coming into this champion select now. We're seeing the first champion taken away from the Aves. We've got Cerner being put away on the ban bench. We've also got Akali being sitting on the other side. It's really interesting. I wonder what we're going to see coming out from both teams, because when you look at these bans, when you look at these upfront bans, the first lot of bans sort of really begins to sort of tell a story of how the team wants to go about playing this game, who they think is going to be their major contender. And just looking at what we're seeing, you've got Akali and Silas taken away, possibly from a follower who could be their major negative factor when it comes to the game, that they think he's going to come online for the team quite hardcore. Very similar to what we're seeing. We're seeing like a strong support, a strong ADC, and now a strong mid to sort of a mid or A support. So I'm feeling as though Herm and Follower are definitely two players that we might want to probably look out for coming into this game.
Yeah, and we are going to have Irelia being the last ban for the first ban phase coming from the red side. Irelia, bit of a good staple top or mid laner pick up that could very well dominate in their lane. Kaisa being the first pick for the ADC on the side of Selwyn College. So we're going to see the first two picks coming from the red side right now.
It's interesting. We're seeing Kaisa being picked up immediately. She made it through the ban. She made it through the ban stage of this matchup. She's being picked up immediately for us. I believe it could be a Suzu. I'm pretty sure everybody is in their role lineup from top to support, which is sort of makes it a little bit easier for us to be able to tell whether it's a flex pick or an actual pick for that particular role. Very for example, we're seeing Morgana picked up by Barry Sun. Could possibly be for Minaso or Suji, depending on how they decide to play this matchup. But I'm loving this regardless. We've got our first lot of bans taken away. We're seeing champion lineups beginning to come to light. We're seeing Jinx going in response to Kaisa. I wonder what we're going to see in terms of supports coming out from both teams.
Yeah, with the Kaisa pickup, we could look to see a bit of a plethora of picks coming from Selwyn College here. They could opt for something versatile like the Thresh, or something straight up front and engaged to support a tank jungler like Nunu, like an Alistair. But we are going to have the mid lane pickup now, hovering over the Kassadin, so I'm keen to see what he picks up here.
Yeah, being a little bit decisive, still stroking that long majestic beard, having a very trying to make sure they don't really create create themselves a bit of an unfortunate startup. Tane Kassadin is definitely a champion you want to go for. But the unfortunate that you'd have to think about is it going to do well in the early game, or is it going to do well in the mid to late game? Depending on who you go up against really also determines how you're going to try and play it better, because the win conditions begin to shine depending on who you pick. And I believe before, when we came into Champions League, we were talking about some of the new champions we're seeing coming to light in this current patch. And you're like literally like as we speak, we see Master Yi being picked up for Yuki, as well as Stolen Soul taking on Nunu. So the changes that we're seeing coming to this patch. I'm loving that we're seeing people adapting to the current state of affairs, and they're really trying to make the most of the situation.
Yeah, definitely. And speaking of stroking long beards, Zillion and Yi picked up for their respective teams. Zillion, a very interesting pick, has seen a bit more popularity in the mid lane as of late, but could also be a bit of a flex for that support role as we're getting into the second ban phase now. Kled and Corky from the red side, Aatrox from the blue side, and the last ban should be coming in relatively soon. Probably going to be oriented towards that top lane, considering Avondale has not picked it up yet. And Vladimir, bit of a flex ban coming in for the mid lane or the top lane.
It's interesting. Like I'm not exactly surprised we're seeing Aatrox being tucked away in that bench for game number 1 of today's saga, but it is a little bit unconventional. We're seeing Vladimir, Corky, and Kled, 3 champions I do not really regularly see on the ban list, and it's interesting. Like I wonder, like I don't really know much about both teams, but I'm beginning to see a bit more of a picture. Like we're seeing Azuzu taking on Cho'Gath for McMuddy top lane. I can only assume they're probably going to try and make sure that they can actually focus on, mid and bottom more so compared to top, because Cho'Gath is that type of champion that can sustain well in lane, mainly because of his passive. Like he gets health and mana back every time he kills a minion, which, it's really good if you don't really want to try and focus on a particular lane. However, speaking of, they've got Nunu. That is something that I'm curious to see. How both these junglers decide to play out in game number 1 sort of really tell the story and set the motion for the win condition coming into this. Because for the first 20 to 25 minutes, the junglers are going to have the most influence in this game. Like, this is just my personal opinion. I feel as though these 2 junglers are going to help set the motion as to who's really going to take this early game matchup. Like, you've got Cho'Gath, who does well mid to late. You've got Zillion and Kai'Sa, 2 champions that can do pretty well, but they do need at least a 1 or 2 item power stack. You've got Follower taking on Orianna. Nunu being picked up. I wonder if we're going to see him actually taking on the historical, I believe it was the Predator build, or we're going to see something a little bit different, because he's that type of champion that needs a lot of gap closing capability. I apologize for the stutter, but he also, like, it's mainly because of that, mega snowball. The biggest snowball ever does require a bit of a build up, and it does give him more movement speed, which is really nice to see. And if I feel as though if Stolen Soul takes on that Predator build in this matchup, he could do really well with ganking, in my opinion. What are your thoughts based on this?
Predator definitely does open up a bit more of a hard push when it comes to ganks, but I feel like Aftershock is too good of a rune, especially on a tank engage, such as Nunu and Willump, to pass up. It's especially into the Yi, which he will need that extra armor going in, because of the recent changes to Yi, he has become more of an oriented champion rather than an on-hit attack speed maniac.
Exactly. I like that. Like, okay, so we're seeing 2 possibilities coming out from Nunu. We've got Aftershock, we've got Predator. Yi definitely becoming more of a heavy AD oriented base champion. I do fear a little bit though for him, Adge. Like, his Alpha Strike has a huge cooldown, but it gets diminished. Like, the remaining cooldown shortens with every basic attack he gets in succession. And it's just like, if he can get that, Spear of Trojan online, he gets the extra attack speed to be able to sort of like, get those few extra touches on top. We could really see a strong Yi coming in, and like we're actually going to see I feel like it's going to be a Wuju theme based matchup. And something look like I'm noticing over from Avondale College is Barry Sons taking on Jax. We've got Minnesota taking on Ari. I am very curious to see how these 2 are going to play out, because Ari is that type of champion that does really well depending on who decides to play him. Like, historically, over my casting period over the last couple of weeks, I've seen very strong Aris, and I've seen 2 types. I've seen the Aftershock. No, sorry, not the Aftershock. I completely misstepped myself. It is the Electrocute Ari, which is heavy ape ability power base. And then you've also got the Glacial Augment, which does really well with those slows, like taking on the Hex Check TLP. As well as the Twin Shadows. And that really proves something that could actually help his team with the gap closing capability. Like you've got Jax who can get on top quite nicely. You've also got Master Yi, and if she gets those two items online, coming into this matchup, and she has Yi helping her out, or even Jax if he decides to roam around a bit, we could really see a lot of team plays coming out from Avondale College. And like I'm really hoping to see that because like that is like what I'm hoping that we'll see coming out in this matchup. I want to see a lot of team play. I want to see a lot of macro mechanics, a lot of cheesy plays coming out from these two teams. And we still are sitting in the spectators delay, but looking at these two matchups, like let's go into who do you think has who do you think has a better chance at winning this? So I'm going to ask you that question, Adge. Who do you think has a better chance at winning this prior to the 20 minutes?
Prior to 20 minutes, it's definitely going to be in favor of, I believe it is Avondale College, especially with those fast hitting heavy picks. But I have seen Stolen Soul on his Nunu and Willump before, and he is absolutely superb at objective control. And if they're able to outscale and get into that late game, Cho'Gath could very well counteract the Yi with a well-timed, I believe it's Deafening Scream onto him as he comes out of Alpha Strike, prohibiting any additional Alpha Strikes, giving them that opportunity to just outright shut the Yi down with a Devouring Feast or whatnot.
Oh, that devouring face, I have to say, is really chilling to hear. And just when I see it happen and it gets a nice takedown, because it does true damage to champions, it is definitely going to be a problem for Jax if he's not careful because he can't really defend against it. The only thing he can really do to sort of prepare for that feast when it comes, when those chomps come down to sort of clamp on top of him, is if he pops his ulti and gets those extra, the extra stats. He would need, I feel as though we're going to see him try and build a little bit more healthy in this matchup. And if he gets that Conqueror online, he's going to need to try and get maintain as much health as possible to be able to survive the assault or the burst amount of damage that he has to offer based with that ultimate. I mean, that ultimate I feel as though is going to be his playmaking moment, his turncoat point. If he can get that online, it's really going to work for his team. But otherwise, I feel as though Jax does have the overall advantage coming into this, as well as Yi. I mean, we're seeing both of them are taking on Conqueror, which does give you extra healing, does do extra true damage on top of your. No, sorry, it converts like your entire damage into like 10% of it being true damage, which is going to be something that I think they're really working towards. I'm a little bit worried that they are lacking a little bit of upfront tanking qualities. Like you've only got Jax that can sort of really be that upfront assault. You've got Morgana who could probably try and get that Zhonya's to try and get that upfront assault, get those soul shackles onto as many people as possible, and then pop that Zhonya's to be able to sort of save herself in the middle of a fight and sort of set her team in motion to try and win, the catch out essentially. And we're coming into this matchup. Both sides are finally loading in. We have no spectators problem. I'm loving this. This is feeling like a good day, Edge.
Absolutely. And of course, with that Conqueror that you mentioned, it was recently nerfed from 10% to only about 8% for the true damage and the healing. So it's not as good. Sometimes people find better picks from runes such as Lethal Tempo, just giving a burst of attack speed, which can be very beneficial in those short burst fights. One thing that I am starting to see a bit of a flaw in the side of Selwyn. Oh, sorry, no, that is Avant's lineup is the Jax pick in that top side. It's rather docile in terms of the matchup, especially into a Cho'Gath. There are so many hard-hitting, heavy picks that he could have oriented for to just absolutely dominate the lane. But he's opted to go for the Jax, a bit of a late-scaling champion. And of course, we are now getting into game, and I am very excited to see how this plays out. We are having pings coming out. Looks like it's going to be a standard invasion ward coming out, making sure no team is overstepping their bounds. What matchup are you most looking forward to here, Ryan?
I'm looking forward to a lot of early game team play coming out, or should I say, a lot of early game mechanics coming out from Barry Sun and Yuki. Miniso has gone for the Arcane Comet. Definitely something you don't see very often, when playing Ari. That I wonder, like, if we're going to see something spectacular coming out because you don't see it often. And when you see something that's a little bit of an outlier, on Summoner's Rift, you sort of want to see how it goes because if it's unconventional and it works hardcore, this could mean that we're seeing a new meta coming out into Summoner's Rift in the current patch. And I believe at the moment we're still sitting on 9.10, a few changes here and there. Yi has made a striking comeback. He is being picked up just as much as we're seeing before 9.9. Barry's son taking on Jax. As you said, we do have that slight nerf on Conquer where it only converts 8% of your overall damage into true damage, and that's pretty much you also get healed for the same amount. Which is what I'm hoping that's like, will that actually make a difference? Or will it still need a bit more of adjustment coming into the next patch, which is not too far away. I mean, it's like so far, it's just still haywire.
We are seeing a bit of an early aggressive trade coming out here from Barry's son onto McMuddy, able to proc the Conqueror already, taking him down to half health with the Corrupting Potion ticking. A very nice early aggression from that level 1E on the Jax. A bit of a notorious early trade that will definitely make McMuddy feel a bit uncomfortable for a little while.
Yes, like that upfront cheese, getting a counter strike. He's now got the leaping strike. He's really looking to make sure Cho'Gath can't even farm his own lane. Try and push him back as far as can to minimize the possibility of soaking up any form of XP, deny CS and gold accumulation. This could really look like it's going to set the motion for Avondale, and I don't think I actually managed to decide which team I'm feeling is going to have the early game matchup coming into round to the 20-minute mark. Before 20 to 25, I feel as though we're going to see a very strong team play coming out from Avondale, mainly because you've got Yi, you've got Jax, Ahri. Jinx is a nice hypercarry champion that takes like at least 50% crit chance to be able to, do a lot of damage and become a noticeable contender for the enemy team. If Nunu can't really get on top of that, that could be really problematic. And just looking at him, he's taken that aftershock. So he's looking to be a little bit tanky, coming into, going into those ganks, try and stay alive for as long as possible when charging up that ulti. Because when that ulti is fully charged, that does a considerable amount of damage. Like, I'm pretty sure it maxes out. Like, for the level 1 stack, I'm pretty sure it goes up to around, like, 800 to 1,000 damage. AP straight up as he's coming with a mega snowball. We're seeing our first fight, Adge.
Yeah, we are definitely seeing our first fight. The snowball going to go all the way around. Aftershock is proc, so it is going to give him a bit of resistance and possibly the advantage in this fight. Charm misses. He's going to be able to flash away. He's probably going to burn out. No, just on barely any health. Barry's son coming in though, level 4, able to leap onto follower, not forcing the flash, unfortunately, actually costing his own. So a bit of a trade in the favor of Selwyn College here, actually.
Yeah, looking at like what summoner spells were expanded, you've got Barry's son losing his flash, you got Miniso taking away his flash too. I feel as though the reason why Stolen Soul managed to get out of that alive, seeing how much health he had left remaining, was mainly because Miniso sort of timed his charm a little bit too preemptively, followed by the orb. He didn't really land it quite as easily as what I thought I would see. And that really sort of, turned the tide a little bit and saved Stolen Soul from giving away first blood, possibly to either Yi or Ahri. And that could really mean that they've actually saved themselves a bit more time to be able to try and get online for their team. Looking at these two, like, between these two teams, like, Jinx versus Kai'Sa, it's only early, but I'm already seeing a gap between the two. Jax is really getting that counter-strike right on top of McMuddy. He's trying to force him so far behind his own line, he's not even able to try and save himself with those Sorcerer minions. This is quite the turnaround. Like, we're seeing which team has the advantage.
Definitely Herm with the Ignite, forced to flash away, otherwise risking first blood. Speaking of which, Yuki definitely would have gotten first blood if he had opted for a bit more of an early aggression rune, like that Lethal Temple, giving him that bonus attack speed to just out-damage Stolen Soul's Aftershock. Meanwhile, Stolen Soul might be looking for some kind of lane gank here. He is hovering around the Krugs, but it doesn't look like anything's going to come of it just yet. Meanwhile, McMuddy forced under his tower. He cannot leave as there is a purple evil man staring him down, making sure that he does not get anything his way.
I don't know whether I want to call him purple, man. He is the god staff this game, so I think he's more orange than purple just based on the cosmetic upgrade. Look at Suji go, really putting down that tormented soil.
Yes, Tormented Soil is incredibly underrated damage, especially with that Spell Thief's Edge. Just able to proc that extra little bit of damage on initial cast. It's somewhat similar to a Nasus E, if the Nasus has gone full AP.
Oh, it's just as bad. Look, we're seeing a counter-strike coming again onto McMoney.
McMoney does have ultimate, so this could be a very risky trade here for Barry-san. He's actually quite low, a bit more, I reckon about 1 to 2 more autos and he'd be within execution threshold, especially with that grasp on McMuddy.
Yeah, you provide a very good point. He's able to actually. This is where Cho'Gath actually has the advantage coming in against the Jax. Like, he can take a lot of damage and be forced on in his own turret. But if he can try and keep his CS at near perfection, trying to make sure he misses almost none, is where it really makes a difference. And he's able to sustain himself. He'd be able to get the health back, the mana back. That grasp of the Undying could really turn the tide of a fight going up against Barry. And since we saw Barry get down considerably low, almost to execution points, like, I feel as though he could really put himself in an unfavorable spot and accidentally create that little room for error that McMoney could really try and capitalize on and punish him quite hardcore. And if he gets punished quite hardcore, that's not really going to work well for Avondale, as we've yet to see any first blood coming out from anywhere. Like, it's still on the table. 7 minutes 20, and nothing major has happened yet. We're just seeing skirmishes left, right, and center. This is just outrageous.
Another trade here in the top side. Barry-san pretty much going all out. McMuddy actually used his Devouring Feast on a minion as Barry-san was coming back into lane, so a bit of a misplay there, as Barry-san did see him without the ultimate.
Yeah, now that they both still have their ultimate. Barry-san does have his ultimate, which gives him that advantage. Using that disastrous or the Devourer's Chop on a minion will give him that stack he needs, but it just means he's going to have to be a little bit more passive for a while. He takes too much damage. He hasn't even gone back to base yet, whereas we're seeing Jax with that completed Phage opting towards trying to get that Trinity Force real early to give him that power spike needed. I wonder if we're going to see, I feel as though Yuki's going to make the considerable difference. Like, he's going to be the contributing factor that's sort of going to set the game in motion for Avondale, because so far, everyone's at a concrete stalemate. The junglers need to start trying to do some very hardcore ganks.
Power dive here in the top side. The knockup does not land, and McMuddy flashes away, but acquires nothing from it. That's going to be a good amount of plays. They're trying to compensate for it in the bot side, but they're just not going to be able to get anything.
No, I gotta say, that tower dive was really efficient. I was expecting Cho'Gath to be able to survive a little bit more strong forward, but then again, he has, like I said before, he didn't go back to base. He hasn't got any items to be able to sustain some extra damage. Now we're seeing him opt that teleport coming into top lane, try and minimize the gap between him and Jax, as Jax has gotten that first blood for their team. He's near double CS. I am fearful of this Jax. Once he gets a Trinity Force, we're really going to see a lot more sparks flying coming out from Avondale, especially with Yi being able to actually try and be very pro-efficient with his ganks compared to Nunu, who tried to get that Mega Snowball in, but sort of fell short because of those grenades. I don't think he was really, able to try and work around it, and that really worked against him.
Yeah, a nice root landed onto Herm. He's going to be just above half health after that pot finishes ticking. Of course, there is the potential for the upset. Even though Barry-san and Yuki seem to be pulling ahead of their counterparts, we do have Follower here on the Orianna going relatively even. And going even on the Orianna is definitely a good position. Meanwhile, another gank happening in the top side. McMuddy caught out again. No flash this time. And that's going to be another kill to Barry-san. Jax is really going to be a key threat this game.
You know what, I have to say, McMoney has been passive a majority of this matchup. He finally gets aggressive. He finally pushes past his safe zone. He goes over to Jax's territory and gets punished for it immediately. What was he thinking jumping out that far? He has no wards on the map. He completely got hard stomped by both of them. That he's really putting himself behind, and it's a Jax you're going up against. If he really gets that power spike coming in before 15 minutes, it's really gonna work against Selwyn, and that's not something that you want to look forward to. The rest of the team are doing well to sort of create that stalemate, try and keep it at high noon, but I feel as though it's going to start working more towards, once Jax gets that first turret, he's going to start looking elsewhere to try and get his team that advantage they need.
Yeah, they are going to look to try and catch out Jax, but they're not going to be able to acquire it. He is able to leap strike away. Meanwhile, another potential gank happening on the top side. A nice Orianna ultimate coming out, but the orb return is going to finish him off, and Miniso secures himself a nice solo kill in that mid lane. I was going to say there was a bit of a trade in that mid lane earlier that went relatively even because neither mid laners were able to hit each other with their abilities.
No, and you also have to take into account you've got a follower who has like that shield that sort of soaks up a bit of extra damage. Ari only really has a Q when it's turning green. Oh my god, Barry, look at him go.
Yeah, absolutely. And around that 11 minutes 30-second mark, we are going to have Yuki picking up a solo Mountain Drake. Definitely going to help secure the platings in those last couple minutes if the red team are able to get the push on and secure them.
Oh man, just look at Suji go. The upfront assault. She's just really flying ahead. She's just as aggressive as Barry's son. I'm feeling a lot of aggression coming out from Avondale that this could actually turn into like a very favorable position. When like at 11 minutes 30, when we heard that dragon go down, it's like 2 seconds after I did hear that herald come down as well. It's sitting in Nunu's pocket. I'm curious where he's going to pop it because at the moment he has a better chance of being able to pop it mid and push it out than he has in every other lane. Jax is so aggressive, it's not even funny. Bottom lane, Suji is pretty much a rinse and repeat copyright.
Mac Buddy getting tower dove again. This is just an unfortunate tale for this Cho'Gath. He's not... Though nice double knock-up. Unfortunately, nothing will come of it. And that's probably going to be first tower going down. I thought there was going to be some kind of counter gank happening in the bot side, but Selwyn opted to go for the Krugs instead.
Yeah, it's really curious. Like comparing the two junglers and their activity in this matchup. There's not a lot of aggression coming out from Nunu compared to he. Like he's been top 3 times, he's claimed kills 3 times as well. So a 100% gank kill efficiency coming out from him. Nunu, on the other hand, has yet to make a considerable difference. He gets punished more than gets rewarded.
Follower, though, able to land a nice ultimate. Ignite is down, and the auto attacks will be able to finish him off. And Follower secures himself a counter solo kill onto Miniso.
And
Very
not only
nice
that,
trades coming from this mid lane.
yeah, and not only that, she was
Here
actually
comes
hold. Oh, Barry, what are you doing? You take top lane, you go mid lane, and you give the return kill. Just Revenge from Beyond the Grave version 2. Just this was just absolutely amazing. Barry's son is quite the highlight for his team. I'm feeling the MVP coming out from him. As we're coming to a nice little pause between these two teams. This is like we're beginning to see flare sparks left, right, and center. Like the fire is beginning to get bigger. Just we have this time to be able to talk about these two matchups. Just what are your thoughts about Selwyn's gameplay performance, considering they are the team that are being pressured a bit?
Selwyn, they're definitely not doing too great, especially in that top lane matchup. Mac Muddy is not having a fun time with the Jax and Yi constantly hounding him, overextending with that ultimate misplay, pretty much snowballing current events as it were. By not having that ultimate up for that trade in that top side, he was able to get taken down, and he is now paying the price for that. Of course, there is still the potential for the upset. Nunu ultimate with Orianna chain, even Zillion combo, can definitely turn a fight around with that burst potential onto squishy carries like the Yi, like the Ahri, like the Jinx. Of course, there is a pause going on. I believe it is on the side of Avondale College. It is Miniso having some connection issues. As we can see, there is Rift Herald getting popped by Stolen Soul in this bot lane. About 30 seconds left on platings, so there is that chance to secure a nice amount of gold for Azuz and try and get that Manamoon Kai'Sa up and running.
Yeah, just look at that upfront capability. Herald's unleashed bottom lane, the headbutt hits the turret. Oh, Zillion pops the ulti to save himself! I can't believe what I just saw. I actually thought there was going to be a little bit more to it. That was just a nice explosive amount of action. But I gotta give it to Herm for being able to pop that ulti to save himself. That free Zhonya's is considerable. I am fearful if it's actually going to work just as effectively for the rest of the game as we saw in that sparing moment. Like I gotta give it to Herm. His senses are sharp. He is really looking for those outplays where he's going to be forced to use it defensively. If he can use it proactively, Oh, I feel as though Selwyn's actually going to get ahead. They're actually going to be able to try and make plays left, right, and center and sort of turn team fights in their favor. Because if you have that free Zonya's Hourglass to be able to pop on just about anybody, as well as have Oriana with her Zonya's Hourglass, that could really work well. Like you've got two like damage, or should I say, two team fight changing moments. Like those Zonya's Hourglasses are definitely something that sort of throw people off when they go in for a fight, because you'd probably want to land everything you can onto them to kick them out. Like Oriana is definitely something to highlight, but if she gets that online, it's sort of going to throw the focus and concentration a little bit out of whack, and it's like, oh, okay, we need to focus on somebody else now because Oriana has just saved herself, or we're taking too much damage from everyone else. We need to sort of come up with like a backup action. Should we try and kill Zillion, or should we try and kill Kai'Sa? Like Cho'Gath won't really make a lot of difference, but if we can also try and prevent Nunu from being able to pop a large-scale ulti, get that full charge up, it could really work well for Avondale College. But for the time being, I am like, we're still seeing a lot more solo action coming out. Jax and Yi, like I said before, like my prediction was that they were going to be very aggressive, and I am happy to see that they're actually going hardcore everywhere. Like Barry's pushing in lane. They're trying to deny Nunu any possibility of going near top side of the map. He's forced to sit down bottom. He's not really making a big difference, and I feel as though that's becoming his handicap for the team.
Yeah, no, a definitely good perception there. Of course, bot side, all things considered, going relatively even. There is going to be a tower dive hover coming in that mid lane. Follower pinging for help. He so desperately does not want to lose his turret. But it looks like it's not going to happen today, as we do see Yuki and Barry-san backing away now, as it was a bit of an unfortunate timing with the minion wave coming in as they were with that tower dive, and we are going to have Stolen Soul coming down, flash up on the Morgana, but Black Shield will absorb the knock-up. But Zio is caught out by the stun, and he's going to go down no problem to Azuz, but that's going to be the lockdown onto Suji, but Yuki is coming in with the Yi ultimate. The Zillion ultimate propped on top of Azuz, but it's not going to go down. Yuki, however, is caught out, and he's definitely going to be able to go down thanks to another kill going to Azuz. But here comes Miniso, stunned up by Zillion to try and delay the impact. But he's going to be able to come in with that last breath. He's going to come in. The Black Shield on top does prevent any kind of lockdown, and that is going to be a double kill going to Miniso in return. Another even trade happening here in the bot side. A bit of everything here. A lot of macro and micro play going on.
I gotta say, I feel as though that was more macro play than micro. Just Ari was really looking out for those moments of disability where she's sort of going to be pushed backwards. And like what we saw, soon as she made herself known in lane, Zillion managed to get the ability power reset. He managed to get the 2 bombs in succession. A nice play coming out from him to try and save himself a little bit extra. But it was really unfortunate, like we saw Herm go down as well as Stolen Soul, as they tried to actually sort of get themselves out, save as many people as possible. That, you know, Stolen Soul going back in and sort of knocking back Ari did not really work well in his favor because he still got that kill in the back line. And then he also got an extra on top because Suji managed to get that snare on top, giving Ari the ability to sort of just like freeload everything she had on top of him and claim an extra 2 kills. She's now got 150 gold bounty. She's got that Luden's Echo done. She has a Oblivion Orb. I am getting frightful of this Fox. I wonder if we're going to see a 9-tail assault coming out from her throughout the remainder of the game, because that roam really like rewarded her quite heavily comparing to what we've seen coming out from Nunu. Like him going into lane has not really been as beneficial as, like, you know, as of late. That last gank did work well for him, but he gave away a kill, and that's ideally not what you want to do as a jungler. Give a kill, take a kill. That's probably the opposite way of being able to go about this. And since Avondale are so far ahead, you don't really want them to try and keep that advantage. You want to try and gap close them. You need to try and get more turrets. Like Jax is hardcore stomping top lane. He's got 2 item completion. To highlight those items, it's Trinity Force and Spear of Trojan. He's really going to wail into Cho'Gath if he gets the opportunity. If he has that red buff, Cho'Gath is pretty much, you know, a walking target. He won't be able to do anything. Jinx is now sitting mid lane. I'm loving this. We've got Ari going bottom lane, Oriana contesting against us, staying down bottom. It's a sort of a wet noodle fight between these 2 landers, but Ari has that advantage. She has 2 kills. She's not exactly far behind. And then, like, you've got mid lane. like you've got Jinx and Morgana sitting there, and they've got an equal contester. But the problem is, based on what we saw bottom lane, they aren't having a lot of luck. So Azuzu and Herm really need to change this up. And Nunu, we need to see more proactive ganks. We need to see more upfront assaults rather than a defensive response.
Absolutely, and of course, at around the 19-minute mark, we can see there's a surprising lack of pressure on turrets. Most of the pressure is being put on this top turret, as we can see Yuki and Barry-san just going at it, and that is going to be the second turret of the game, and it's an inner turret of anything. Finally, the mid lane turret does go down. That was on very low HP for a very long time. And of course, we do have the 2 Mountain Drakes on the side of Avondale, and with a Yi, with a Jax, with a Jinx even, they could more than likely go for Baron as soon as it comes up in about 5 seconds.
This looks like it's going to be the 20-minute Baron. I can't believe what I'm seeing. Just Cho'Gath is forced to sort of reset top lane. You've got Kai'Sa really going in. She is on her own. She is a one-man stand. She's going to get caught out, and it's going to be an absolute bloodbath. I don't really know what to say. Like, this is the earliest Baron I have seen in this league. Like, good on to Avondale for really being proactive with themselves. Ari's doing well to contest against Follower to prevent her from going anywhere. Cho'Gath resetting lane is nice to apply pressure, but other than that, they are really stuck in the middle of nowhere. They are going up that creek without a paddle, almost without a boat. They are pretty much swimming with the fishes. That this could be a very early game, and Avondale have so much control that, like, whatever they decide to do, they can set up for it very easily, whether it be applying pressure top lane to try and get an easy dragon, or whether it be applying bottom lane action, push it in so hardcore that Cho'Gath is forced to actually sit there and push it back while they try and get an easy Baron once again. They have Baron in their pocket now, but they're not making huge plays with it. Like, they're sort of stuck at the midpoint. Jax is now bottom lane trying to get that final tier 1 line of turrets that, like, he's caught out.
Yeah, Barry-san potentially caught out here. It's actually going to flash in to the triple lineup of Selwyn College, and he is going to go down eventually, but not before taking down Follower. The kill does go over to Azuz, though, keeping the dream alive for that Kai'Sa Manamoon carry. But of course, you hate to see it. Mac Muddy is just not having a good time this game. He has yet to even finish his first item.
I know, he's getting close to finishing that Sunfire cape, but at this point in the matchup, there's no real point to it. I mean, he's not really doing his team any favors. And Barry's son demanding the respect and, like, attention from 3 players of Selwyn, it's really going to show that he's becoming the shepherd of his team. Everybody from Selwyn is essentially a flock of sheep. He is the shepherd. He is herding him into a discreet location far away from the rest of his team, that they're able to make plays on the opposite side of where he decides to position himself. He goes bottom lane. We saw mid lane turret go down. Top was also pushed out hardcore. If they decided to do like a sort of a swap around response where he goes top lane, we'll see just as much action mid and bottom. Like, it's getting close to that point that no one from someone's even going to be able to leave those that tower line. Like, if they leave that wall, they fear getting caught out because they still lack a lot of wards. Just looking at both these teams on the mini-map, like looking at the amount of ward coverage we've got coming, I'm seeing a lot more red wards than I'm seeing blue. And I feel as though that's what's really putting Selwyn in more of a disadvantageous position. Like, they're essentially like, you know, playing chess without understanding where the pieces are. They can't see anything. They're going in blind. And they're not exactly being rewarded every single time they try to move a piece around the map and sort of chip away at Avondale College, Atch.
Absolutely. Avondale College definitely winning the vision war here. And Follower actually getting caught out potentially here again. Has to flash forward away from Barry-san. But the leap strike will come up eventually. Barry-san absolutely just man-moding in the bot lane here. Doesn't have flash to get away, though. He's actually going to leap strike onto Azuz. He probably knows he's not going to make it out. There's 4 men on him. He's only just barely going to make it out. No, Azuz comes in with the bracing here. He's going to be able to take him out as well. Minisu goes down. The fight is actually starting to look in favor of Selwyn College here. Yuki fashes over the wall. Azuz is potentially going to get called out. Zillion Ultimate will keep them alive. Zio is right there. He's going to be able to potentially take him down as well. And it's just going to be Mac Muddy left alone with only a Sunfire cape to protect him. Yuki will finish him off. And that is a clean ace for the side of Avondale College.
23 minutes 50, we see our first 5-man team fight. A real huge misstep. Jax gets caught out on his own, goes down really easily, But he managed to actually take out a lot of what Selwyn had to offer. Like Kaiser got the ulti. Zillion managed to also pop his as well. That's 2 ultis down. Oriana to Brute in the start off of that fight. She got caught out. She went down underneath turret that I have to add as well. And just like, taking notes here and there as that team fight progressed, it was really unfortunate. Like everybody from Avondale managed to box him in. Jinx comes in from behind, inside their own jungle. You've got Morgana coming in from the top. Yi actually hiding inside over at those golems. And then you've also got Ari trying to come in and defend Barry-san, give him that someone to jump onto and get away. But Kai'Sa popping that killer instinct really secured an easy kill. But at the same time, sort of really, invested a little bit too deeply that she went down towards, I guess you could say, the halfway point of that fight. That it really worked well in like Avondale's favor. Like it was sort of like a nice, even fight between the two teams. But Avondale did obviously emerge with the better victor. Like Yi managed to get 3 kills in that single fight. Jax managed to take down at least 2 members, I think, in that succession. Follower going down prematurely. It sort of really set the fight in favor of Avondale, mainly because they were already a man short. Jax did well to try and put in multiple punches before he went down, which was really nice to see. Like that was just really, like, I guess you could say, very advantageous coming out from Avondale College. Like they've had this advantage all game. They have more than a 10,000 gold lead. This is looking very disastrous, Adge.
Absolutely, it is. And of course, you had that team fight with Selwyn College more or less divided in their own jungle. You had Stolen Soul, Herm, and Azuz trying to take out people like Barry-san, like Yuki, like Miniso. Meanwhile, Mac Muddy was left on his own to deal with Zio and Suji. Was able to survive for relatively a while, being the tank that he is. But that entire fight without follower, I feel like with the potential for the Wombo combo on the side of Selwyn College, they have the ability to win team fights, but they're just never in a good position to do it.
No, they're definitely not. Like they can. I feel as though Selwyn do have the ability to win a team fight, but that's only if they sort of do the rinse and repeat like we saw from Avondale. Barry catching out follower, taking one man down before the 5-on-5 fight happened. That they could actually win this. Like the numbers game is feeling like it's the major contributing factor. Barry's son, look at him go.
And I think Barry realized he's probably not going to be able to tower dive a Cho'Gath right now. He's not quite dealing enough damage with that Conqueror, only giving him 8% true damage. They are going to look to potentially try and catch out Selwyn, but they're able to get away rather nicely and going to look to secure the Baron for themselves.
They are. It was really curious to see Selwyn actually be the ones to try and go for Baron first. They get caught out immediately, which was probably the worst thing that you could try and do as a team that's falling behind.
That's a beautiful knock-up from Stolen Soul, but there's nobody there to support him. He's going to go down eventually, and Zio is getting dove on the back line by Azuz. He will go down as well. Meanwhile, Follower is getting picked off by Yuki, and Barry-san will secure the final kill onto the Zillion. And that is going to be another ace for the side of Avondale College, and they're going to look to push this mid lane out.
This could be the game-ending moment. They managed to ace everybody from College. They have Baron buff. The minions are now converging on that first inhibitor turret. This could be it, everybody. I mean, look at bottom lane. Bottom lane's pushing just as hard. Top lane's the only outlying factor. They're going all the way in. This could actually be the winning moment. They still have at least 15 seconds of cooldown.
Yeah, with those heavy attack speed champions on the Yi, on the Jax, they are absolutely going to be able to finish this match off. And that is going to be a swag stopwatch coming out from Yuki as the Alpha strikes on the Stolen Soul. And they secure the game for Avondale College. Very well done.
I gotta say, Avondale had that in their pocket for I guess it felt like it was pretty much them all the way through. They were never in a disadvantageous spot whatsoever. They were very proactive. They were very responsive to one another. Like we saw in that first team fight, just Ari coming in to give Jax an item to be able to jump onto, like, an object to be able to jump onto and get away from everybody. Kai'Sa was being very proactive, used that killer instinct to charge in and secure an easy kill, but unfortunately did catch herself out. That it didn't really work well for her team. I mean, she's probably the only factor that actually kept them online for majority of the game. Look at her. Looking at the post-game stats: 6-2-1, 220 CS, the highest gold accumulation for her team. Whereas everyone else is actually considerably low. Like they're very close knit to Suji, who's their support, and considering the support is actually the lowest gold making factor when it comes into post game stats, if she is actually almost beating you, then there is definitely huge problems. And like you can clearly tell that there was a lot of macro play misplacement, I guess. Like just looking at this stats, like a majority of members from Selwyn 151, 035, 153, and a 037. The only outline, the highlighting factor, just like if you could use imaginary highlighter, is Azuzu for Selwyn. Like she did really well for her team. She managed to stay almost right on top of Zio when it came to anything of the sort, like 6 kills. The CS accumulation was amazing. Her item choice as well, like we're seeing that completed Mana Moon, Gwynsto's Rage Blade, as well as Phantom Dancer, opting towards that Nash's Tooth just based on that item in her inventory that like she really knew exactly how to play for it, but it's just really unfortunate that the rest of the team couldn't exactly live up to par. Barry Sun, Yuki, two champions that we saw on the map that just really made that, like they really tried to cover as much as they could. And it was just like amazing. Like the MVP I feel for this game would have to be Yi, mainly for the fact that he did well to clean up team fights. He managed to get a triple kill in the first round, and he cleaned up so well coming into the second fight, or the game-winning fight over in Baron Pit, where he cleaned away the ADC, he cleaned away Oriana, and he just pretty much just ruffle stomped the rest of their team going from there. Whereas Barristan was a nice close seconder. I feel as though there was a fight between the two for the MVP, but based on that team play that we saw coming out from Yuki, I feel as though he took the gold.
Absolutely, both of them deserving commendation. But of course, as you said, Yuki on that Yi, in addition with the objective control, the dragons were in their favor as well. Triple Mountain Drake. They were just able to secure that Baron so quickly and uncontested. And of course, it's just an unfortunate performance coming out from McMuddy on that Shogath. Unfortunately, only able to acquire around 7,000 gold, which is, well, to say, again, unfortunate. It was a bad matchup, more or less. He did get effectively counterpicked by the Jacks, but they weren't really able to capitalize on that pressure in that top side, which did lead to their downfall.
Yes, like it's just heavily unfortunate. Like they did so well for their team. It was just like a bit of a misstep. Like, McMuddy got counterpicked by Jax, Yuki taking on Yi and being very proactive compared to Stolen Soul, who was sort of like absent, staying in that fog of war for as long as possible in his own jungle. That sort of like it really put, Follower and Azuzu behind majority. Like, Azuzu did well to stay close knit with Zero as much as possible. But then you look at Herm and McMuddy as well. Like the fact that it was absent throughout majority of the game, not really ganking proactively, being more responsive and try and sort of get his team out of a pickle, did not exactly work well for his team. And that's what I feel as though was their biggest downfall. Just Nuno not trying to help lanes where possible did not exactly work well for the team. And like, because of that, they didn't exactly take away today's match against Avondale. But with that, everybody, actually, is there any last notes you want to put in?
Oh, last notes. Absolutely. With that mid lane matchup, nothing to really complain about. It was well played on both sides, more or less. Just unfortunate how the game played out, especially with Azuz on that Kai'Sa. They had the ability to carry. They had the hopes and dreams of their team. But again, the rest of the team just wasn't able to be in a good position to promote that, per se.
Yes. With that, everybody, that is the first segment wrapped up for today, brought to you by the Meta High School League. My name is Reinhardt. I am joined for the last time by Aj for the first segment of today's saga. We have another round coming back to you on this stream later today at 5 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Times, or the better abbreviation AEST, for the next High School League matchup. So don't go too far, folks. We'll be back soon for the next round.
What does perfect even mean? Is there even such a thing? Oh, can we switch up all the rules and imagine a utopia Darling, I'm just so fed up with these expectations. They keep weighing me down. My heart is begging me to get the hell out of my head. I'm gonna live inside the upside down for a minute and pretend. Honey, I'm a perfect 10. Whoa, whoa. Honey, I'm a perfect 10. Whoa.